My mom looked around that dinner table, smiled, and said, "Some grandkids are just built for success. Others, well, you just hope for the best." And my 9-year-old son, sitting right there, fork in hand, potato salad on his plate, turned and looked at me, not confused, not upset, just waiting to see what I would do. I put my napkin down, I pushed my chair back, and I said 7 words that ended that dinner permanently. We drove home in silence. My son fell asleep in the backseat. And that night, after I tucked him in, I made 2 decisions that my mother did not see coming. The first one she found out about the next morning. The second one, that one took her 3 weeks to understand. And when she finally did, she called me crying. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Because before you understand what I did, you need to understand what my son heard. And before you understand what he heard, you need to understand who he is. Because nobody talks about my kid like that. Nobody, not even my own mother. My name is Claire. I'm 38 years old. I live in a mid-sized town in Ohio with my son Marcus. He's 9. He has this laugh that starts silent, like his whole body shakes before any sound comes out, and then it just fills the room. He taught himself to read at 5. He builds things out of whatever he can find in the garage. Last summer, he designed a working pulley system to lift his backpack up to his treehouse using a broken fan motor and some rope. He is, without question, the most remarkable person I have ever met. Marcus was diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD when he was 6. And I want to say something about that clearly and directly. Those things have never once made him less. They have made certain things harder. They have required us to find different paths to the same places. But they have never, not for a single day, made him less intelligent, less capable, or less worthy than any other child at any table. I raised Marcus alone after his father, and I separated when Marcus was 3. It was not dramatic. It was just 2 people who were better apart than together, and who were both mature enough to make sure Marcus felt loved by both of us. His dad, Derek, is involved and good. We co-parent well. But day to day, the homework battles, the school meetings, the therapist appointments, the late nights researching better learning strategies, that has been me. I work as a project manager for a mid-sized construction firm. I'm good at my job. I keep my house. I keep my son fed, clothed, supported, and above all, I keep him believing in himself. That last part is the most important part, and it is exactly what my mother tried to dismantle at that dinner table. My mother's name is Diane. She is 64, retired, lives 20 minutes away, and has strong opinions about everything: education, success, potential, and which grandchildren have it. I need to be honest here. My mother is not a villain. She is a woman shaped by a generation that measured worth in grades and trophies, and college acceptance letters. She grew up poor, worked hard, put herself through school, and built a stable life. I respect that. I do. But somewhere in that story she developed a belief that struggle is a character flaw. That a child who learns differently is a child who will achieve less. And she has never been quiet about that belief. There were smaller moments before that dinner. Comments wrapped in concern. Is Marcus still seeing that specialist? I just want to make sure he doesn't fall behind. You know, your sister's kids are both on the honor roll. I'm not comparing, I'm just saying environment matters. I love Marcus to death, Claire, but you have to be realistic about what kind of future you're preparing him for. Every time. I redirected. Every time I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I told myself she meant well, that her delivery was just rough, that underneath the comments was genuine love. I kept making excuses for her the way you do when someone is family and you don't want to start a war. Then came Sunday dinner. My sister Jenna was there with her husband Rob and their 2 kids, Tyler, 12, and Brooke, 10. Both straight-A students, both in travel sports, both exactly the kind of grandchildren my mother displays like trophies at every opportunity. I don't say that with bitterness toward Tyler and Brooke. They're good kids and none of this is their fault. But the comparison had always been there. Hovering, unspoken. Until that Sunday it decided to speak. Dinner was almost done. Chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, the Sunday spread my mother has made my entire life. Tyler had just finished talking about his travel baseball team making regionals. My mother was glowing. She reached over and squeezed his shoulder and said, "That is what I'm talking about. That is a young man going places." And then she looked around the table, at all 4 grandchildren, and she said it. You know, that's just how it is with kids. Some grandkids are just built for it. The drive, the focus, the potential. They're just going to make it. Others, you love them, but you just hope for the best and pray something clicks eventually. She was smiling when she said it, like it was wisdom, like she was being generous by keeping it vague. But there were only 2 grandchildren at that table who were not Tyler. And only one of them had an IEP and a specialist and a mother who had spent 3 years fighting school administrators for proper accommodations. Marcus turned and looked at me, not crying, not asking me to explain, just looking at me, his face completely still, waiting to see if I was going to let that sit there. I looked at my mother, she was still smiling, reaching for her water glass. I put my napkin on the table. I pushed my chair back. I looked at Marcus and said, calm, clear, not loud, buddy, go get your jacket. He got up immediately. No questions. I looked at my mother and I said, I need you to think about what you just said, and I need you to understand that we won't be back to this table until you do. Jenna said my name. Rob looked at his plate. My mother's smile dropped. I picked up Marcus's cup, grabbed my purse and walked out. 7 words. Buddy, go get your jacket. Done. In the car, Marcus was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Mom, am I one of the ones that won't make it? I pulled over. I turned around in my seat and I looked at him directly and I said, Marcus, you already are making it, every single day. And nobody gets to tell you otherwise. Not even Grandma. He nodded, looked out the window, then after a minute, okay. Just okay. The way kids accept things when they trust you completely. That kind of trust is not something I will ever take lightly. That night, I made 2 decisions. The first, I called my mother's sister, my Aunt Patricia, who has always been the clearest thinker in that family. I told her exactly what happened, word for word. I didn't ask her to intervene. I just made sure someone else knew, because silence protects the wrong people, and I was done protecting the wrong people. The second decision, I pulled Marcus out of the standing Sunday dinners. Indefinitely. No more showing up every week to a table where his worth was being quietly measured against his cousins and consistently coming up short. That environment was over. My mother called the next morning acting surprised, then hurt. Then she cycled through to, I don't know why you're being so sensitive. I wasn't talking about Marcus specifically. She wasn't talking about Marcus specifically. There were 4 grandchildren at that table, and my son was the only one with a learning difference. But sure. I said, Mom, Marcus asked me in the car if he was one of the ones who wouldn't make it. A 9-year-old asked me that. Because of something you said at your dinner table. That is what I need you to sit with. She went quiet. 3 weeks later she called me crying, said she'd been thinking about it every day, said she didn't realize how her words landed. Said she wanted to make it right with Marcus. I told her making it right with Marcus meant showing up differently, not with an apology speech, with changed behavior. With asking him about his pulley system, with celebrating what he's actually good at instead of measuring him against a standard he was never designed to fit. She's trying. I'll give her that. It's slow and sometimes she slips, but she's trying. And Marcus, he started 5th grade this year. His reading scores jumped 2 grade levels. His teacher emailed me last month to say he explained a math concept to the class in a way she had never thought of before. She said he has a mind that works in directions most people can't follow. I printed that email, framed it. It hangs in his room right above his desk. Some grandkids will make it. My son already is. And if you have a child who learns differently, who moves differently, who doesn't fit the mold that other people built, I need you to hear this. Your job is not to make them fit the mold. Your job is to make sure they never believe the mold was meant for them in the first place. Protect their belief in themselves like it is the most important thing you own. Because it is.